notes. Now, laundry list of stuff up here. I think you know some of the vocab. We're going to do complement angles, everything with angles today. Supplements. Do you know what complements add up to? Any guesses? Nobody? 90. We're going to talk linear pairs, vertical angles, and all sorts of good stuff. A little solving for X, you know it. But let's just review, shall we, before we get into anything here. Find the value of X. Okay, all right. So a couple things that jump out to me in this picture. First question. You have a straight angle. Straight angles equal what? 180. So I know I'm going to equal 180. And then, thinking about our vocab quiz, let's get fancy here. What is that called when you add angles together? Angle addition postulate. Angle addition postulate, AAP, when you add the angles together. So 4x plus 7 plus x plus 3. All right, you guys are great at solving equations. Let's just solve that. Combine our like terms. 4x, 1x. 7 plus 3 is 10. You're probably going to need your calculator for that. Kind of a big answer. Not crazy big, but kind of big. X equals, Jordan, say it back there, 34. Okay, thinking about your quiz Friday. Am I done, or do I need to plug 34 in and give you the two angles? We're done. It just says solve for X. Make sure you read the directions closely. I know that's such a lame teacher thing to say. Now, prepping you for what's coming ahead. Okay, ready? These two angles, are a pair. They make a line. This is an example of what we call a linear pair of angles. That's going to be one of our vocabulary words today. A pair of angles that make a line. That's pretty exciting stuff. All right, let's do the second one here. Ooh, bisects. Good vocab word. What's bisect mean? So this time I'm going to put my little congruent arc marks on to be fancy, because that's how I am. And let's set those equal to each other. It's easy, you just got to read all those vocab words close. All right, let's get the x's on one side. Minus 3x, I can't write and talk there, minus 3x. And you probably already have an answer for it. X is 6, perfect. Okay, next question. Am I done, or do I need to plug it in and get each angle? Done, so solve for X. We did it. Okay, so a little bit of everything there. Just read it, course closely. Bisect is why we said them equal. So like I said, laundry list of stuff. I really already talked about linear pairs, so get ready for that. Complement, supplements, easy. Probably vertical angles we need to talk a little bit about. So we're talking about all these different angle pair relationships. First one, another vocab word of the day, adjacent. Now, a lot of vocab in geometry. I try not to freak out and memorize a lot of stuff. Adjacent, next to. The angles are next to each other. They have a common vertex and side. So you can see in this picture 5 and 6, adjacent, next to each other, side. Also, back to the warm-up here, these top ones are also considered adjacent, next to each other, common side. That would be another example of it. Obviously, these are non-adjacent. They do not share a side. They do not share a vertex. So you're going to have to pick out adjacent versus non-adjacent. Let me just scroll it up. I need a bigger screen here. Okay, complement and supplement. Nothing to fill in on the notes, just maybe circle some important details here. Complementary angles add up to 90. So we're going to see that a lot today. We're going to see the word complement. We know that has to add to 90. And then supplements add up to 180. And you can see on the picture, 20 and 70, 90. Here we have those add to 180. That's all that amounts to. So any questions on the first page? Just a lot of vocab. All right, moving on. Okay, identify pairs of angles. So adjacent angles, let's start with that. I'll do it in red. Okay. Now you can just tell me like the numbers, 53, 37, etc. Which pair would you say is adjacent? Common vertex, next to each other, share a side. Which two? Any guesses? Common vertex, share a side, next to each other. 37 and what's next to 37? You guys are lively today. 120, 127. Now here's the thing, to name those angles. This is kind of the F part. And good review for our quiz Friday. I can't just say angle A, because which thing are you talking about? I have to use the three letters. So I'm going to call the bottom one angle B, A, C. You could have that scrambled. You could have it CAB, of course, too. You could have it reversed. And I'm going to call the top one CAD. All right, next up, let's do complements. So complements add to 90. Which pair of numbers add to 90? Which ones add to 90? You got it. So same thing, I'm going to have to use the three letters to name this guy. C-A-B. What about this one? Do I need to use three letters to name this right angle? That's the only one over there. So I could just make my life easy and call it angle S. You can use the three letters. That still is perfectly fine. Okay, last up, supplements. So we're going to add to 180. So which pair of numbers add to 180? You got it. So those would total to 180. Now, of course, the 127, we have to use the three letters, D-A-C. And you could call it just angle S again, or RST, whatever you want to do. Got it. So just identifying the different pairs of angles. Any questions on that? Just tested the vocab, complement 90, supplement 180. All right. You might need your calculator for this. I don't know, maybe not. One is a complement of 2. So they should add up to what? Complements add up to 90. So if you have 62 degrees, how much more do you need to get to 90? 28. Do we need to show any work for that? No, you can, you could use your calculator if you had to figure that out. Okay, supplement. That's the 180. So you're at 47. You might need a calculator for this one. How much more do you need to get to 180?
153.
I think 153 is, there we go. So 47 and 133 total to 180. Okay. So much good vocab. Complements. So we're going to add up to 90. But I think we're going to have to do a little bit of work here because, of course, they give you these expressions for the angles. So, okay, all right. So I'm going to add them together. We're going to equal 90 since they're complements. Of course, we can't get away from the algebra. 4x plus 9x, let's total that. -2 plus 1. I'm going to give you a second, finish it from there. See what you get. And it comes out nice. X equals 7. Okay, quick question. Done, or do I need to plug it in? Plug it in, because it asks you for the measures of the angles. So let's put 7 in here. I think we can do a little mental math there, I'm hoping. You can use your calculator, of course. Okay, so if I put 7 in here, what's 4 times 7? 28 minus 2. Now, we can make our life really easy for the other angle. I hope, anyway. Work smarter, not harder. You could put 7 in here for sure and do it. Or, how much more do you need to get to 90? What's 90 minus 26? Anybody?
64.
Or do 9 times 7 plus 1. Either way you cut it, you'll get your 64. Okay. So any questions on that? All right, we have one last example on that page of your notes. It's kind of like crammed in there on the bottom, kind of right side. Hopefully you can see this picture is kind of there on the side for you, okay? So, when viewed from the side, the frame of a ball return net forms a pair of supplementary angles. With the ground, find the measures of the angles. Okay, so supplements add up to what? 180. Now, you'll find in geometry, I swear there's like 5 words that mean the same thing. The other, even if it didn't tell me supplements in the directions, a straight line, a straight angle is 180 also. We should know that from the picture. So I'm going to add these up and total it to 180. So let's do our 5x plus 10, our 3x plus 2, 180. So it says supplements, but we should know from the picture, straight line. All right, 5x, 3x, got it. 10 plus 2. Probably need your calculator from there. Let me give you a second to solve for x. I already heard it. 21. You are right. Now, we probably need your calculators for this because we need both angles too. So I don't expect you to write this, just punch it in. What's 5 times 21 plus 10? 100 and, what do you got? 15. I can't write and talk. There we go. What's 3 times 21 plus 2? What's the other side? Got it. Yeah. Any questions on that? Now don't flip the page yet. Don't flip the page yet, because just running out of room there. There's also kind of next to this problem, this slide. Okay? We need to talk about this. This is still on the page. Now I've already talked about the first one, the linear pairs. Pair of angles, pair, two, that makes a line. We've already seen those. That last problem was actually a linear pair also. Always share a side. All linear pairs, supplements, straight angle, 180. Linear pair, straight angle, supplements, all means 180. We have like 4 ways to say the same thing. This we need to talk about. This is new, you haven't seen. Vertical angles. Now, vertical angles, common vertex, okay? And this is how I kind of look at it. Like for instance, 4 and 5 are vertical. So they make an X. So I'm looking at 4 and 5, they make that X, they have a common vertex and opposite rays. Now for today, we just have to pick out the pairs of vertical angles. Eventually, we are going to learn that vertical angles are always congruent. 3 and 6 are also a pair. They make an X, but it's just kind of sideways. You have your common vertex and then your common rays. So the first thing we're going to do, this is new, is practice picking out linear pairs and vertical angles. Okay, now you can flip the page. All right, identify all the linear pairs. Let's start with that. And I like this problem because they have the angles numbered, so I don't have to get crazy and do a lot of hard, difficult, pain in the butt naming stuff. So here we go. There are 2 pairs of linear pairs. So you're looking for 2 angles that are right next to each other, and they make a line, and they share a side. So one of the linear pairs has angle 1 in it. What would be the other angle that's next to it and makes a line? And they share a side. So I'm looking at 1. What angle is next to it, shares a side, makes a line? Jordan, say it. 4. So they have this common side, they make a line. Okay, okay. Other pair, angle 5 is in it. So this one. What angle is next to it, shares a side, makes a line? Anybody? I heard different mumblings. Next to it, shares a side, makes a straight line. I hear 4. Let's look at 4. So here's 4. Next to, share a side, make a line. Perfect. Now I did hear somebody, not to call anybody out, I have no idea who it was. So we had 5 already, and they asked about 3. Are these making a straight line, 180 degrees? No, that is why. Okay, I've made a giant mess out of this picture. Let's erase it. All right, vertical angles. Here we go. It also asks you for that. Get ready. There is only one pair of vertical angles in this picture. You would think there's more. But there's one. So you were looking for common vertex. They make an X, opposite rays. I'm going to give you one of the angles. You're going to pick out the other half. One of them is 5. So what's the angle that shares a vertex, makes an X, opposite rays? I hear 1. Like it. Opposite rays. That's also kind of the key there. So any questions about that? Today we're just picking them out. Eventually vertical angles are going to be congruent and we'll do some algebra. Today we're just picking them out. All right. Whew, so much reading. So very much reading. Here we go. Find angle measures in a linear pair. Okay. All right. First question for you. Linear pair makes a line. So it's going to equal what? What do lines equal? 180. So we have a pair of angles. So you don't have to do this. I'm just for dramatic emphasis. I'm going to add up my 2 angles. The measure of one is 5 times the other. Well, I'm sure we're going to use x for our variable. So there's my first angle. Just going to call it x. Keep it easy. And it says the other one is 5 times this. So what expression are you using to represent 5 times this? 5x. There's the setup. That's easy enough to solve. 1x, 5x, 6x. X is, what's 180 divided by 6? 30. Now it wants both angles. So there's the first one. What's 5 times that? What's 5 times 30? 150, yeah. So I'm going to put 30 and 150 for my final answers, which of course do total to 180. So the calculations are easy, but it's so wordy, you have to pick out that vocabulary and know what you're setting it equal to. All right, let's try this one. Measures of an angle twice the measure of its So this time we're going to be equal to what? 90. Okay, so I don't care if you do the 2 blanks. I just like it for drama. That's how I roll. So I'm going to use x, of course. I'm sure you are. The measure of an angle is twice. So this time you're going to have what for your second one? Twice. 2x. X plus 2x, 3x. Probably you already have it solved. X is. So I need both angles. So what's twice that amount, or double 30? 60. So 30 and 60. Which of course totals to 90. All right, you try B. See what you can do. Lord help us, we have a fraction in it. It could get crazy. You can use your calculator or your neighbor's. Whatever you gotta do, right? All right, first question for you. What are you equaling? Good, 180. Linear pairs make a line. All lines are 180. So of course x, 1.5x. That's fun. Okay, little fraction work here. 1x plus 1.5. Now, if I were you in my calculator, I would think of that. I wouldn't want to try to type in 2.5. What's 2.5 as a decimal? 2.5. So I would do 180 divided by 2.5. What's 180 divided by 2.5? so there's my first answer. I guess I could have just circled it. Why am I writing it twice? What's 1.5 that? What's 1.5 times 72 now? Or, if you're like, oh God, I don't want to figure it out. Remember, they got to equal 180. How much more do you need to get to 180? 108. I think that's almost quicker. You pick. Questions I can answer for you on that. That's like the trickiest thing of the day. Okay, last thing, we just gotta look at these pictures, and I'm gonna give you like a spiel here. Okay, a spiel. I know we always love that. Let me scroll it down here. So, the last thing on the very back of your notes, and I have the rest of it on another slide here, is really, you're saying a lot in geometry, you can't assume anything on the picture without them specifically telling you or having marks on the picture. Meaning, every year I'll have some kid be like, yeah, that angle's right. Like, well, it does look right. Like, I see what you're saying, it looks right. But it doesn't tell you anywhere on it it's right. It doesn't have the right angle symbol on it. So don't just assume things that aren't specifically told to you are marked on the picture. Or I'll have kids that be like, oh, these angles are congruent. I'm like, how do you know that? There's nothing about bisect. There's no arc marks. Don't just assume it unless, of course, they specifically, I'm going to scroll it, they specifically tell you, I need to be, like on this picture, like if they have the right angle, I can tell you it's 90. If they have the arc marks, they're congruent, okay? So just don't assume it, make sure that they provide you that given information. That's the spiel on that, okay.